Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to The Avengers. I have no idea what episode this is, but it's called Toy Trap. This is the last recon until I have an episode, which is very, very exciting. If you are new here, my name is Marie-Clare. Thank you so much for joining me. I am just trying to whiz through The Avengers now because I can't watch the next Bond film until I have finished The Avengers. And I keep thinking I'm really near the end. So including today's one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I need to get going. I really want to watch the next Bond film. I want to watch it now. So it's time to whiz through the Avengers. Obviously the recons aren't that long. I mean, what was the last one? Like 18 minutes or something. So that's not too bad. But I'm so looking forward to next time's episode because I just find that it really helps me stay connected with the characters, and just seeing Keel and Steed and Carol just in action really, really helps. So hopefully the episode that has remained, which is called The Tunnel of Fear, I'm hoping it's a good one. Because imagine if it's like a dud and you guys are like, ooh. Yes, this one's called Toy Trap, which I love the title. I think that's just such a brilliant title. I'm assuming it's to do with toys, toy shop maybe, selling of goods, something like that. Yeah, depending on the length of this, I will be putting the full length on Patreon and then the normal length on YouTube. So let's go.
It is a bright and warm London evening in early July 1961, and Soho, the capital's sleazy square mile, is opening for its tawdry business. A middle-aged man pauses at a tobacconist's showcase and casts an eye over a selection of cards advertising call girl services. He decides upon May, a 20-year-old brunette, notes her telephone number and calls her from a payphone. May answers his call. She tells him her address, 27 Brunton Street, Soho, and to come right up.
You used to be able to
written by Bill
advertise
Strutton, produced
your
by Leonard
services
White,
like that.
and directed by Don Lever.
Alice, another colleague, enters. Alice envies May, who has given her notice at the store and has her own flat, while Alice and Bunty board at Bustle's squalid hostel. As May removes her blouse, a series of bad bruises to her arms and ribs become apparent. She refuses to discuss how she got them and leaves. Alice says to Bunty that May must have boyfriend problems. The conversation turns to Bunty's night out with Dr. Keel, a family friend who had been a locum at her father's country practice. Her father has asked Keel to keep an eye on Bunty while she is in London. He urges they go straight to the restaurant, but Bunty is worried about her friend May. She has not turned up as arranged and seems to have been beaten up by her boyfriend. Keel agrees they should call on her. The address that Bunty gives him is near the restaurant they plan to dine at. Bunty and Keel find no sign of May at her flat. She seems to have left in a hurry. The place is in a mess and chests of drawers have been emptied and left open. The telephone rings. Keel answers it. A female voice mistakes him for a man called Lenny and then asks for May. When Keel explains that he is not this Lenny, the line goes dead. Keel finds some photos depicting May and another girl in glamour poses. Bunty's friend is in deep trouble. However, Keel and Bunty are oblivious to the presence of a shady figure with crutches who is listening to their conversation from the stairs. Steed is concerned, but his main worry is that Keel is no great cook. Keel deflects the light-hearted criticism, and Bunty offers to lay out the cutlery in the dining room. Once she has left the kitchenette, Steed suggests that he and Keel should find out who took the photographs. There are dozens of these artistic creeps around Soho with a flood lamp, a bed and an attic, Steed comments. Bunty rushes back into the kitchen. She has smelt burning. Steve's reservations about Keel's cooking appear to have been well placed. Meanwhile,
I feel like Dr. Keel would make a great husband.
Freddie, a man on crutches, delivers his report about Keel and Bunty to a strange-looking, heavily made-up woman called Maya. He has recognized her as the other girl photographed with May. The man says that her name is Chrissy, one of his regulars. Steed explains that his friend is up from the country and will be interested in meeting her. Keel feigns a gauche innocence, and the photographer telephones Chrissy. In the girl's flat, the telephone rings. Her Siamese cat meows for her mistress to stop the noise. However, her owner is unable to answer, for Chrissy lies on the floor, very, very dead. Later, Steed decides to visit Bunty in the toy department at Bustle's. He He asks her if she ever heard May mention a girl called Chrissy. Bunty thinks not. Steed reveals that this Chrissy has been killed, probably because she wanted to get out of a call girl racket. She doubts this will help as May ran away from home, so Steed tries a different tack. He asks Bunty's colleague Alice if she knows May's friend Lenny, the person Chrissy had mistaken Keel for in her call to May's flat. Alice points out Lenny Taylor. He used to see a lot of May, she says. Steed also learns that Alice knew Chrissy and was aware of the lifestyle she had fallen into. Chrissy came from the north, looking for the high life. A pimp serenaded her, got her a club job, paid her first month's rent, and she was caught in a trap. Steve thanks Alice and treats himself to a Czechoslovakian teddy bear.
Toy trap.
Later, Steve meets Keel at the surgery. He reveals that as soon as he claimed to be a doctor, people fell over themselves to help him. Can't think why I never thought of it before, muses Steed. It's a real open sesame. Dr. Steed. It's an excellent idea. Keel suggests Steed doesn't make a habit of impersonating doctors. Steed changes the subject. He has learned that his department are trying to crack a Soho vice ring and has decided to make it his business too. He wants the big fish behind it all. He suggests that they could get Bunty to infiltrate the organization. Keel is horrified at the very thought and admonishes his friend. Steed backs down and leaves Keel with a present, the teddy bear he had purchased earlier. Steed telephones Keel at the hostel. He has been checking up on Lenny Taylor and has found out he has been in and out of Clink for years. In addition to his day job at the store, Taylor moonlights as a heavy at a Soho club. He lives in Brixton, and Steed wants to look over the property with Keel, who makes his apologies to Bunty and sets off. After arriving in Brixton, Steed and Keel break into Taylor's flat once he has left for his night job. Inside, Steed notices smoke rising from an ashtray. He draws his gun and makes a dash across the room. He grabs the curtains, pulling them open to reveal the cowering form of May Merton. She is quite terrified and screams to be left alone. May recovers a little. Despite Keel and Steed's claims of being there to help, May doesn't trust them and
don't
believes they
blame
are
her.
from the police. At the store the next morning, Bunty declares loudly to Alice that she is fed up with Mrs. McCabe's restrictions and plans to resign from Bustles and leave the hostel. She wants a much better paid job. Bunty cannot be convinced otherwise, so Alice returns to her counter. Johnny, who has heard Bunty's outburst, picks up a doll and goes to pay for it. When Bunty refuses a sizable tip, he offers to take her for a drink instead. She accepts. He will pick her up in his sports car at 6 o'clock. That evening, Johnny's car is parked up off-road. Bunty leans back in the passenger seat, hanging on Johnny's every word. He offers to set her up in a nice part of town with plenty of money. Bunty is cautious. She says she is worried that what happened to Chrissy, May, and Lenny could also befall her. Later, Johnny calls Maya from a restaurant. Maya agrees. It is interesting how Bunty connects Chrissy and Lenny to them. Clearly the girl is working on someone's behalf, but whose? Maya tells Johnny to bring the girl in for a meeting. The next evening, Bunty is asked by Henry Burge to stay behind after hours to help Alice, Peggy, and himself stocktake. When Alice and Peggy finish their work, Burge offers to show his gratitude in the saloon bar of the Coach and Horses, but the girls, wary of Burge's wandering hands, make a swift departure and neglect to tell Bunty that they are leaving. A little later, Keel telephones the hostel to speak to Bunty. Mrs. McCabe explains that Bunty has not returned home. She takes Keel's details and will pass on a message when Bunty returns, just before Freddie smashes it open. Her heart leaps, but she is not detected, and Freddie moves off noisily. Meanwhile, Keel meets Alice at the hostel. He fears that Mrs. McCabe has not delivered his messages to Bunty. Alice says that Bunty is most likely at the store with the slimy Henry Burge, and that he has a history of crushes on young girls at Bustles. At Bustles, Freddie lunges at Bunty just as Henry Burge returns from the pub. Bunty thinks she has been saved, but Burge's manner is odd, even for him. He grabs her roughly and threatens to take her to meet the woman who runs the vice ring. Steed suddenly emerges from a toy wigwam. 3 fellow agents also break cover. Burge is subdued and Bunty is freed. Maya and Johnny enter unaware of Steed's arrival. Steed motions for them to join Burge and Freddie and has his agents cover the 4 criminals, and she loses her dark glasses and blonde wig as she struggles with the agent. Bunty was right. Maya is revealed to be the manageress of Bustle's hostel. Mrs. McCabe, a tired-faced woman, has been running the whole operation. Steed has his men round up and arrest the criminals. They will all be facing the judge. Steed is delighted it has all gone so well and plays on a child's swing by way of celebration, but he has his own inquisition to face. Keel is furious that his friend went against his express wishes and involved Bunty. Steed contests that she is perfectly fine. She plans to go home to her parents and has persuaded May to spend an extended holiday there too. Keel is still furious at Steed and tells him as much. Steed loses his temper. "Steady on, old boy. People don't talk to me like that," he hisses. "Well, here's one that does," spits Keel, grabbing Steed. "If you ever go behind my back again, I'll take you apart. That girl was in my trust. From now on, you're on your own." Steed attempts to justify his actions. It had been a question of expediency. The time it would have taken to set up another contact would have risked the entrapment and possible murder of more innocent girls. Keel is having none of it. He is disgusted with the way Steed uses people and exposes them to dangers they should be protected from. "There was no other way," says Steed firmly. "Then you just find another way," replies Keel bitterly.
I had a great time with that. I really, really enjoyed that reconstruction. I was about to say episode. Again, another one of the examples that I just wish we had that as a full episode. I really liked the sound of Bunty. I would have loved to have seen her, the actress, actually as Bunty. And interesting the end with Keel and Steed kind of going up against each other. I completely get Keel's perspective. Like Bunty's dad said, can you look out for her? And Steed went against him. And I do wonder, obviously it's very hard to gauge just through audio's recons and a couple of episodes. Is Steed doing his job? Or the sense I'm getting a little bit is Steed a little bit cocky? This just seems to be maybe a little bit of arrogance there. And I wonder if this little tete-a-tete was is maybe going to change the game a bit and maybe have Steed really take Keel on board a bit and make them become this pairing, the Avengers. I don't know. I wonder how much that little dispute at the end is going to impact the rest of the show. But I don't know if it's just how I'm interpreting Steed, just because obviously Steed is the one that got Keel involved and in this whole thing, and ultimately it's Steed's job to do all of this undercover work and stepping in government work, whatever it is. So is he just very good at his job, or is there an element of arrogance there? I can't gauge that at the moment fully, but I really, really enjoyed that episode. The Avengers, from what I'm gathering, isn't afraid to get dark. There's always consistent dead bodies and people being killed, and I think that adds a real element of fear, which I love. I just can't wait for series 2 when I can just get stuck in, really, really get stuck in. But I had a great time with that episode. Let me know your thoughts, and I will see you very soon for an actual episode.